Hola, buenas tardes. Hi guys, this is Mrs. Nightmare here, and today we'll be reading chapter 4 of Jeff the Killer, Don't Go to Sleep. Before we get started, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe to this channel if you want more creepypasta fanfictions out there. Until then, let's get started. The pieces are coming together. It was now the second month, and it was Monday morning. Time to start another week of school and another day with Jeff living in my house. I was getting quite annoyed by the fact that he hasn't left yet, or were I getting annoyed by the fact that he might leave one day. The nightmares continued to get worse every night. Jeff would appear by my bed holding me tightly to calm me down. I felt like I was being a burden to him, and it made me feel slightly upset. But then I would think that he made this choice to come into my room in the middle of the night and he hears me scream. Then I started looking at this from another perspective. When he would hold me, it made me feel warm and safe and free of anything of being scared. It was like one of those fears and worries that just disappeared in just being in his arms. I finished tying my shoes and grabbed my bag and headed out towards the door with Jeff, heading towards school. Did you get any sleep last night? I didn't seem to hear you scream at all. Jeff said, Not really. I still have the same nightmare, I muttered, looking down a bit. Then why didn't you call me? Jeff muttered under his breath. Pardon? I asked. Jeff realized what he said and decided to shake it off. Nothing, he muttered. I wanted to ask him again, but I kind of felt worried that I might piss him off. So after a little bit of silence, I decided to ask him a question I've been meaning to ask ever since I first saw his face. Jeff, how did you end up the way you are today? Jeff turned and looked at me with a very straight face. Unless it's too sensitive of a topic for you, you don't have to answer. I nervously muttered out, No, it's fine. I'll tell you. Jeff sighed and cleared his throat. He began to explain the beginning of his story, starting off with Ray, Keith, and Troy. Jeff and his brother Lou were waiting for the bus to stop when these three kids showed up and started giving them a hard time. So Jeff defended his brother by giving the boy the knife wound on the other injuries. When Jeff started to feel something that he couldn't explain, the need to hurt others. Once the police showed up at their house, Lou took the blame and was sentenced to juvie. Soon that he had go to a birthday party next door, he was playing with the kids. Suddenly the boys showed up again. This time, things got worse. It was a life and death fight to the point where Jeff was covered in alcohol and bleach, and he had murdered the boys and ended up with Keith still awake and hitting him with a lighter and throwing it at Jeff, who turned into a human torch. In the hospital, the doctors removed the bandages on his face so he could take a look in the mirror and started to go insane at the sight of his new face, laughing, saying that he was perfect. Soon after, Jeff decided to cut his face into a smile and burn off his eyelids. His mother was horrified by his face, and Jeff snapped and killed his whole family. Well, that's my story. Then Jeff started noticing that I was sobbing. He stopped and turned to me with a face. Oh, come on. Why are you crying? You seriously can't feel sorry for me. Jeff said, somewhat serious and concerned. threatening tone. But it's not your fault, I said between sobs. Jeff's eyes widened and he felt caught off guard. He never heard that from anyone before. Those boys deserved to die after what they did to you and your brother. If they would have left you alone, you wouldn't have suffered so much pain. I continued to sob as Jeff stood there looking horrified or mystified by the sudden reaction. Without warning, Jeff wrapped his arms around me and pulled me close. Stop crying. I have heard enough. It's every single night, Jeff said as I wrapped my arms around him in a hug him tightly and slowly stopped sobbing. I guess you're right. I can't be a burden to you anymore. A burden? How the hell are you being a burden to me? If you're thinking about screaming in the middle of the night and me rushing to help you as a burden, think again. I chose that because I can't stand hearing you cry. Come on, you're going to be late for school. I was surprised to hear Jeff's answer and Jeff to hear me crying probably because he finds it so annoying. But he didn't look annoyed. I finally arrived at my school. My best friend Lisa was waiting at the front door. I waved goodbye to Jeff and headed towards the school. So, who is he? My friend asked in a flirtatious tone. He's just a friend. No one else, I simply put it. My friend continued teasing me about the guy who walks me to school every day and asks me questions that I had to answer in lies in order to protect Jeff. And the morning went pretty swiftly until lunchtime. It's when things started to take a darker turn. I and Lisa noticed that the day was beautiful and decided to go out to eat on one of the benches near the football field. Everything was going well until Brooke showed up. Excuse me, do you even know where you losers are sitting? She scoffed. Oh geez, I don't know, maybe it's called a bench? I said, being a smartass. I see, but you losers are sitting on my area of the bench. Now move it. No, we were here first. Besides, I don't see your name on this area, so go find somewhere else to sit. My friend Lisa said bluntly. Are you really telling me what to do? Gotta remember, my daddy is the principal of this school, and I can easily get you into trouble, Brooke threatened. This little bitch is named Brooke. She was being a bully. Been bullying me and Lisa ever since the 3rd grade, when her father got the job as the school principal of the high school. My mind reading abilities were now known, but everyone expected Lisa to take a joke, because most of the time I would refuse to use the mind reading abilities whenever they asked. Wow, really? You're going to use the daddy card? Hello, I muttered. Right, little Miss Smartass. You could have the spot. You have to read my mind first if you could guess it right. I may keep the spot. If not, your ass is up and find somewhere else to sit, Brooke said. Lisa looked down at me with a look saying that I have to, but of course I was being a little stubborn and I decided to take a little peek in her mind. Of course, expecting hearing thoughts of new shoes, clothes, something along the lines about. But that's when I started to hear weird voices in the back of her head deciding to enhance my powers. And I began to dig a little deeper into her mind. What I found was despicable, disgraceful. I started to hear her plans to seduce one of my good friends, Tommy Burns, so he can make so she could make him do all the work of the science project. Once I was finished, my face lit up and with shock. "So, what was I thinking about?" Brooke asked. "You little whore," I muttered. Brooke gave me a shocked expression and turned angry. "What did you just say?" "You're a cunt. A whore." I bluntly said it out. "Excuse me?" Brooke yelled. "You heard me, Brooke. Just like I heard through the thoughts of the back of your head. Can't wait to tell Tommy about your plans about sleeping with him just to make him do your project." "What? How did you?" "Ugh, you're going to be sorry," Brooke threatened. Then I noticed Tommy was about 3 feet behind Brooke, and by the look on his face, he heard the conversation. I and Lisa started to step down from the bench. "I guess I don't need to tell him after all," I said. Brooke looked confused and turned around and found Tommy standing there with extremely shocked face. "Tommy, hey, I was actually about to come and find you about tonight," Brooke said, if like nothing happened. "Well, you can forget about it. You can also forget about doing this project together. I'd rather get an F than be your slave," Tommy said angrily and stormed off. Brooke looked stunned and was trying to beg Tommy to reconsider. "Well, I guess my work here is done. Have fun with the science project, Brooke," I said, and I heard Lisa started to walk away. Brooke quickly shifted from being shocked to instantly angry. It got so bad she turned around and rushed towards me and pinned me down and began to fight me. "You little smartass! You cost me my grade!" Brooke yelled as she began to pull my hair. "Get off her!" Lisa commanded and tried to save me, but Brooke and her other friends held her back. I and Brooke started fighting and pulling each other's hair out, punching each other in the faces, and started throwing insults. Then Brooke noticed that I wasn't using my right arm so much in the fight. Brooke smirked and developed an idea to win the fight. Brooke grabbed my wrist and pinned it to the ground and kept tightening the grip, which made me whimper a little. "You mess with me, you're gonna be sorry, you little bitch," she chuckled as she slightly started to tighten the grip on my wrist to the point where it slowly crushed it. I let out a scream, which pleased Brooke even more. The grip tightened even more as my screams got louder. I could hear the bones cracking. It was a horrifying sound, and Brooke just laughed at the sight of my pain. But all of a sudden, a flash of black and white, and Brooke was off me. I looked up right to see it was Jeff holding Brooke laying down by her wrist in one of his hands and the jaw of the other. "You seriously are asking to die, little missy? I could gut you like a fish right now. But I have noticed that you got yourself quite a foul mouth. Too big for a little girl like you, So let's silence it, shall we?" Jeff smirked and began to tighten his grip on Brooke's jaw. She muffled in pain as I began to realize that he was going to break her jaw in half. "Jeff," I called out, but he didn't seem to hear me. I stood up and began to walk over to him and gave him a smack upside the head with my good arm. "That is enough, Jeff," I yelled at him. His face lit up in shock as his grip started to loosen. He turned back to me, and then he noticed my wrist was turning purple. He let go of Brooke's wrist and jaw, leaving only bruises, and got off her. Then he stood up and picked me up bridal style. "Listen here, you bitch. You touch her again, and I swear I'll hunt you down and kill you slowly and painfully. No one is allowed to touch her but me," Jeff said in a very scary and angry tone, which frightened me. He dashed off with me in his arms, and I noticed his grip on me was super tight. "Jeff," I muttered. "Shut up!" His voice raised at me, And now I could tell that he was super pissed with the crazy day it has been. And I noticed I started to feel this strange throbbing in my heart when Jeff's tightened grip started to feel warm and safe. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I'm glad. If you want more Ben Drown love stories, check out the playlist that will be popping up soon. Also, if you want any more fanfictions narrations, please check out my other channel, Reading with Blade, which has multiple fanfictions up already. If you are interested in the yaoi experience, check out Tyler O'Connell's channel if you want to go there. But note that channel is only 18 and up. I've been listening to Tyler's stories and I'm addicted to them. Until then, bye guys!